Good evening, everybody. We're going to give it just a few seconds while we allow everybody to hop on. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are glad you're here. I'll just kind of keep an eye on the participants until we get to a number where it seems to slow down. But thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time. We will be videotaping it, the presentation. And as always, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat or the Q&A, and we have time in the after the presentation to be able to answer as many questions as possible. All right, it looks like we're starting to slow down. So good evening, everybody. My name is Beth Burt. I am the Executive Director of the Autism Society Inland Empire. I'm also the proud parent of two young men, one of whom has autism. And I'm so happy to be here tonight, joined by two of my colleagues, Dr. C.J. Cook from Inland Regional Center and Deputy Greg Jones from San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. We are going to get into the presentation. There's a lot of great information, and I wanted to make sure that we left time for questions. This is a safe space, so if you have any questions, there's no questions that are considered dumb or irrelevant, so please feel free to ask. We are happy to answer the questions. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Cook.
Good evening, everyone. My name is CJ Cook, and I'm the Program Administrator at Inland Regional Center, who oversees emergency services as one of my duties. And we have been working closely with Beth and Greg from San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department to create a program that is focuses on clients, individuals served in our area and built on their feedback and collaboration together as a group. So if you're not too familiar with us as a regional center, we are the largest of the 21 regional centers. Currently, we have roughly 56,000 open cases. We serve all of San Bernardino and Riverside. We're at 1,380 staff as of today, and we have about 900 dedicated case managers. And so since we have a collaboration here, we want to give everyone that we've worked with an opportunity to discuss their organization's collaboration with us in the Blue Envelope program. Greg?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Jones. I'm a Deputy Sheriff with the San Bernardino County Sheriff Department Community Liaison. I am the coordinator for our Safe Return program and also the Blue Envelope program. Our goal is to work more effectively with all communities, especially the special needs community. Our goal is also to promote the different programs that we have and build bridges to have a better response by our officers, but also reaching out to the community to find out what is actually needed. And we allow, or we get to, I'm in a place where I'm able to give information over to the sheriff and our executive officers, our executive team, so we can enhance better relationships with the community.
Beth?
And yeah, hi again. So I already told you a little bit about myself. One of the reasons why the Autism Society got involved in the space of law enforcement and first responder training is that we continue to see an increase of calls from individuals and family members that are having interaction with law enforcement. In the last 5 years, we have developed a post-certified, which is the police officers, kind of like their CEUs, 4-hour course, and we've trained almost 800 first responders, and then we've given over 1,000 sensory kits away. So when this Blue Envelope program came up, we really wanted to be a part of it and make sure that the concerns of our community, as varied as it is, were heard.
Thank you, Beth. And the Deputy Jones is going to talk a little bit about the why we got together and started to collaborate to create this program. Deputy Jones?
Yes, give me 1 second. I have some technical difficulties. Come on. And for some reason, I apologize.
Here you are.
Oh, here I am. I apologize. No, the why is very simple. Because law enforcement comes in contact with a multitude of people while we are doing our duties, either from calls of service, vehicle stops, consensual contacts, people needing help, or just in our everyday profession. And the realistic thing is, over 7 times more individuals with disabilities are more than 7 times more likely to experience violence compared to those without disabilities, which is horrific. By the time they reach 21, 1 in 5 autistic youth will have been questioned by the police, and 1 in 20 will be arrested. Wandering or eloping, roughly 49% of those children with autism attempt to elope or wander from a safe environment, and the rate nearly 4 times higher than their unaffected siblings. And according to the study by published in Pediatrics. And in a condensed version, I would say that our department and other agencies are always coming in contact with the public. Not every single person we come in contact with, does that person show some type of a sign or a symptom of them having a special need of some type. This program enhances communication, enhances the visibility, and allows law enforcement to have a contact with a person with a number of different maybe disabilities, or needing an assisted device, and it helps us be able to have a better communication with them.
And we did do some research and some study in collaboration with the Autism Society, and Beth is going to talk about our crisis intervention research project, and then I'll talk about our police interaction project.
Yeah, so thank you, CJ. So for those of you who don't know, I love data, and I found CJ who loves data as much as I do. So it was really important to us that when we went into this space, it wasn't what Beth thought or what CJ thought or even what Greg thought. We wanted to make sure that we were hearing from our community. We've done some surveys, we've done a lot of focus groups, and as a result of that, this is some of what we found from the focus groups from our community. And I don't think this is going to surprise anybody, but it's still very important that we're documenting it. So the lack of pre-crisis interventions. We realize that, families and individuals need resources to stabilize behaviors before they get to that crisis point. We don't want families calling 911 as when they just run out of options. We want there to be more options earlier in the whole process, so families aren't resorting to using first responders as their crisis response. There's also what we just talked about, the over-reliance on law enforcement. There's an inadequate crisis response service. That's been one of the things we've been working with regional centers. How do we build some crisis services outside the 911 system? And then systemic failures. As families know, as professional knows, that there's just fragmented and inconsistent services, not only across regional centers, but also across just systems and period. We, as families, often deal with education system or medical insurance. Maybe it is regional center, the doctors, and nobody seems to coordinate those services. So families often just get pushed to another agency or another doctor, and nobody's really there to case management.
So after we did that project, we came back together and we decided we needed to have some more data, because we had a lot of qualitative data, lived experience provided in the crisis intervention research. So we came back together and we started a Inland Regional Center police project, basically police interaction with individuals who identify as having a developmental disability. That was surveys and several focus groups, and those focus groups were extremely well attended. and our survey was a lot higher than normal. So from that process, though, we learned there was language barriers. And when we say language barriers, not only in our deaf community with individuals who use American Sign Language, but also with clients who or individuals who are nonverbal. Language also broke down to the local departments using antiquated language, language that we no longer use as a community of services anymore. The cultural sensitivity piece, we learned that sometimes officers unintentionally were being very culturally insensitive to an individual with a disability. The best example I can give for that one is an individual has cerebral palsy. That individual might be in a wheelchair, and the officer would speak to the aide or the person, the functional assistant aide, and not the individual themselves, thinking that the wheelchair was the barrier to communicating with that individual. In reality, it really isn't. But we didn't find it as an intentional insensitivity. It was just something that they don't live in our world and we don't live in theirs. Training gaps was extensive. Not only in the intellectual and developmental disability characteristics on the law enforcement side, but on the family side as well. Families were not engaging in a lot of community engagement events that gave them the opportunity to learn about law enforcement, to meet law enforcement, and to be trained on that side. We firmly believe that we have to understand law enforcement as law enforcement, or we're asking them to understand us as a community as well. And in this process, we are able to make numerous recommendations for inclusivity. The Department of Justice has received the report, Department of Developmental Services. Beth has shared it extensively. The sheriff has had a chance to review it. But the one thing that came out in all this research was the need for a communication bridge. How do you communicate with someone who cannot communicate verbally and in a stressful situation? And that was when the blue envelope came into play. And we're going to have Greg talk a lot about how this works from the law enforcement perspective.
So basically the way this works is this. The program was initiated within our department and our staff was trained. The initial training consists of the law enforcement officer goes out into the public and makes contact with somebody. If they have a wearable item, i.e. a bracelet, a lanyard, a decal on the vehicle, a seatbelt cover, or when they make contact with somebody who's driving, that person, we're encouraging them to have one of the blue envelope items themselves. They will present the item over to specifically the blue envelope itself, which is a 6x9 card. They will present that to the officer, the deputy or police officer. Then the officer will be able to know what that person wants them to have information about. If they are deaf, hard of hearing, if they have a certain condition, something that they need assistance with, or simply they have a different communication style. It helps the officer get to a place where he or she can communicate effectively with them. Even if it's basic that I need to be able to take out my cell phone and text or verbally text or a notepad, or if it's the position of the officer that if the person's having a medical emergency during a traffic collision, they will be able to tell that this person has a communication challenge, and the officer will be able to find the blue envelope in the vehicle, and then on the back of the envelope, it'll have certain information from the person themselves. The goal of the program is just to enhance communication. The items are visible, not just to the officer, but also to the general public. One of the aspects of this program is it does not say I have a disability or I have a whatever you want to put there. What it does is if somebody victimizes a person wearing a wearable item and a crime has been committed, the officers can use that, and now we have a hate crime. So the person who identifies under that particular disability, there's an extra protection that if they are victimized of any type, it allows us to enhance the charge against the suspect. The other thing is it also enhances communication barriers that if somebody, for instance, if somebody who is, let's say somebody is deaf, The law enforcement's not going to know initially that that person is deaf. But wearing the blue envelope, it will enhance because of the fact that they will be able to communicate more effectively, at least know that, hey, I need to slow down a little bit. I need to better utilize my communication skills. The other thing is, it is not a registry. It's not a database. It's free. The main concept is it's voluntary. Whatever information you want law enforcement to know on the back of the blue envelope itself, you as the consumer, the driver, the public puts that information onto the card. It does not violate HIPAA whatsoever because you're voluntary to giving the information over. The other thing is, if you choose not to use the items, it's your choice. There's no requirement in it. It is just a suggestion, and that's what we're trying to do today.
So we actually wanted to have some videos to kind of drive home what Deputy Jones was just talking about. So we actually have client advocates at Inland Regional Center, and this is Gregory Harrison. You're going to see him in a lot of videos. He loves making videos, and I hope you enjoy them as much as he likes making them. But these should give you a perspective of what the blue envelope is designed to do, a really good, strong overview from a client perspective. And you're going to have to listen to me a little bit in video. I hate the way I look in video. I think I look better in person, to be honest with you, but we're going to crank it up and see what happens.
Hi, my name is Marcus Quinton, and I'm the Emergency Services Coordinator here at Inland Regional Center. I want you to imagine a community where every interaction with law enforcement is calm, clear, and supportive, especially for individuals with unique communication needs. The Blue Envelope program helps bridge the gap between law enforcement and individuals with autism, intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, and other conditions that may impact communication.
Thank you, Marcus. Hi, my name is CJ, the Program Administrator here at Inland Regional Center who oversees emergency services. The Blue Envelope program is championed by Inland Regional Center, Autism Society Inland Empire, and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department to foster trust, enhance safety, and strengthen mutual understanding between law enforcement and individuals with unique communication needs. It's important to note that the Blue Envelope program is not a registry. It is not a get-out-of-jail-free card, and it is completely voluntary. As part of the initiative, deputies and officers are trained to identify the Blue Envelope brand of materials and understand the characteristics of an intellectual or developmental disability, ensuring they can recognize and respond appropriately to individuals using the program. The videos you're about to watch provide a brief overview of the program. We highly recommend attending the next parent and client training when scheduled, where you can learn more and meet our partnering agencies, which include Chino Police Department, Fontana Police Department, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, Menifee Police Department, San Bernardino County Fire Marshal, and Upland Police Department.
We also challenge parents and caregivers to take an active role by attending outreach events and safety fairs. These events provide a valuable opportunity to learn more about law enforcement, build relationships with officers, and gain practical tools to help individuals with disabilities navigate interactions more safely and effectively. Together, we can ensure that every interaction is met with patience, awareness, and respect.
Hey guys, this is Greg again. How are you? Today I'm here to talk about the Blue Envelope program. Blue Envelope is a completely voluntary program that helps people with this communicate with a police officer during a law enforcement interaction, like during the traffic stop. This program helps police officers to be aware of people with conditions, autism spectrum disorder, dementia, anxiety, cerebral palsy, and other physical, and intellectual disabilities. This way, the interactions will go smoothly, and we can walk away as friends. So here's how it works. You either can display swag with the Blue Envelope logo, or you can announce to the police officer that you have a blue envelope and hand it to him when it's okay. You can pick up your free blue envelope flag at your local sheriff office, at Blue Envelope Training Day Regional Center, or emailing community@inlandrc.org. Remember, Blue Envelope is completely voluntary. It's not a registry, and participating is free. But the most important thing to remember is the Blue Envelope is not a get out of jail free card. If you're driving too fast and get pulled over, a police officer still can give you a ticket. The Blue Envelope program is to facilitate in communication and awareness between community members with a condition or disability and law enforcement during an interaction, meant to keep us and our police officers safe. Take care of yourself out there, and you're gonna be okay.
And you might get a ticket. So we wanted to show you also how the blue envelope will be utilized in a traffic stop.
Hey guys, this is Greg again. How are you? Today I'm here to talk about the Blue Envelope program and how it comes in handy when you're interacting with a police officer. This time I have two friends to help me out. Let me introduce Sergeant Watts of Fontana PD and my colleague from IRC, Fania.
Hi, my name is Estefania Pena, and I am a deaf and hard of hearing cultural specialist here at Inland Regional Center, and I am a proud deaf woman.
When you are pulled over by law enforcement, follow the instructions on the blue envelope. Number 1, stop at a safe location. Two, stay in your car. Do not leave until you're told to, and it's okay.
So the reason officers approach on the driver's side of the car is because generally that's where the driver is going to be seated. And sometimes you might even see them also touch the car on their approach. Sometimes you'll see the officers and their hands will be on their gun as they're approaching the driver's side of the vehicle or the passenger side. And that's to ensure for their safety, because until they know the scene is safe, they don't know who's in that car. It could be a gang member, it could be a violent criminal. They don't know. So up until they get to the window and they can see you and they can see that your hands are in a safe position on the steering wheel, as soon as you are, generally the hand will come off.
Sorry. 3, keep your hands on the steering wheel. Hey officer, how are you?
And the reason we ask drivers to keep their hands on the steering wheel and or any passengers in the vehicle is because hands are what can conceal weapons, and we want to make sure that as we're approaching, that we're completely safe. As long as we can see your hands, then we can continue our conversation and instructing why the stop is happening and keeping everybody in a safe environment.
Number 4, tell the police officer that you have a blue envelope. Hello, officer. I have a blue envelope.
Thank you, sir.
Number 5. Follow all instructions from the police officer. For those who are deaf, hard of hearing, here are some tips for my friend Fania.
So I'm here with some very important tips for our deaf community. When you are pulled over by a police officer, it's very important that you always pull over to a safe and well-lit area. Once you are pulled over, turn off the ignition, place your hands on the steering wheel, and wait for the officer to approach your window. They can approach on the driver's side or the passenger side. Go ahead and make sure both windows are rolled down and place your hands on the steering wheel. Go ahead and get eye contact with the officer and let them know that you are deaf by using these signs. This one, or you can sign deaf. When the police acknowledges that they understand you are deaf, let them know that you have the blue envelope by pointing to the visor, getting their eye contact, and waiting for them to give you permission to reach for the visor and the blue envelope form. Once you have the blue envelope, it should have your license, your registration, and your insurance. Hand that over to the officer. The blue envelope also explains your particular disability and the way that you prefer to communicate. It can be through text, writing through a notepad, or using a communication card.
Remember, that's a communication and awareness. It's meant to keep the interaction friendly and to keep our police officers and us safe. It's not a registry, and it's all voluntary, and it's free. But it's not a get out of jail free card. Just be careful out there. And you're gonna be okay.
So we wanted to follow up as well and have a specific video for our deaf and hard of hearing community. So here you're going to see Deputy Jones interact with two individuals who are deaf at a bus stop and how the actual lanyard might work. And then we're going to give you one more example of another traffic stop where they use a cell phone to communicate.
Inland Regional Center proudly supports the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Blue Envelope Program. This program is an initiative to make interactions between law enforcement and community members with disabilities easier and inclusive. It helps the police become aware of and have a better interaction with those diagnosed with a condition or disability. Some examples would be autism, dementia, those who are deaf or hard of hearing, or even those who just may have trouble communicating and need extra help. Here's how the program works. It's simple. Anytime you need to speak with a police officer, just show them the blue envelope logo.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm so happy
Can
for
I talk
you.
to you for a moment?
I'm deaf. We're deaf.
Oh, are you deaf?
Yes, yes
Okay.
we are.
Yeah, look.
I see he has a blue lanyard. Is he a part of the blue envelope program?
Can't hear you. Are you a part of the blue? Yes, yes we are.
Yeah.
There was a bus accident and it's going to be delayed.
Look, there was a bus accident, so it's gonna be delayed. Thank you for letting us know.
Wow, the blue envelope really does work.
Did you see how easy that was? The Blue Envelope program really helps to make communication better. You can get free items with the Blue Envelope logo, like a wristband, a lanyard, stickers, or a Blue Envelope keychain. You can pick up these products from Inland Regional Center or your local police station. These products help the police to know that someone might have a disability, be deaf or hard of hearing, or have a different communication need. In the next scene, you will see how the Blue Envelope program can be a helpful tool in different moments, like emergencies, traffic stops, all to reduce misunderstandings and communication barriers.
Okay, I have items in the Century Kit. Would you like one? Portrait.
Notice how the mom used the blue envelope with the police officer, and this led to a safer interaction between them. The program helps police to recognize residents with disabilities and adapt their approach for better communication. Now, what can you put inside the blue envelope? You can put inside your car papers, such as insurance, registration, and your picture ID. You can also include essential information like your medical details, who to contact for an
That's my man. Sorry.
emergency, or how you would like to communicate, either using a notepad to write, texting, or talking. It's important to know that the actual blue envelope is only for those who have a driver's license and should be kept in the car. It's also important to keep in mind that the blue envelope isn't there to keep you out of trouble, but is to make things more calm and easier to communicate. Joining the Blue Envelope program is free and it is your choice. If you would like to learn more information, please click the link or use your phone to scan the QR code. Also, you can communicate with your service coordinator to get additional help. You got this.
Fonnie was very adamant about me letting the credits roll to the very end to get so everyone gets their due handshake.
CJ, I have a really important question.
Yes.
Will Gregory Harrison be at our walk? Because we have people requesting his autograph and to be able to give him a big hug. He's kind of a superstar now.
I think he's on the team to go to the walk, but if not, I'll check with Monica.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, his fandom is growing.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He has so much fun and it's very interactive, and his ability to do that is really, really cool. But I promise you, I'll double check with Monica to make sure he can be there. One of the things that we talked about early on was language accessibility. So with all of our collaborating partners, which you're going to see has grown from the video that I did with Marcus to now, we require them to have it in multiple languages. We pay for that through a grant with the Department of Developmental Services, and the minimum is Spanish. But for us, we actually have what we call low frequency languages, which are less used languages like Tagalog, Arabic, Mandarin, Chinese, and Vietnamese. So some of the other agencies have Somalia and some other languages as well, because that's what's commonly spoken in their areas. So language accessibility was a huge part for us. And when law enforcement officers and agencies approach us, it's one of the first conversations we have. Greg, I want to talk about the actual blue envelope just a bit, and then we're going to reiterate, if you haven't noticed by now, we keep saying it's voluntary, it's self-implemented, and it's not a get out of jail free card, and it's not a registry. And we kind of keep driving that home, but I want Greg to go over the actual envelope.
So as you see on the screen, you'll see what it says what to do when you're pulled over by law enforcement. I'm going to be very transparent. Every person I think I've talked to, everybody gets pulled over by the police at some point in time during their life, either because they made a mistake or they do something that necessitates to get pulled over, like speeding. And some people need a reminder notice, also known as a traffic citation, to slow down a little bit. It may save their life. But regardless of all that, if you've ever had a police car behind you while you're driving, it will raise your blood pressure, your nerves, you get nervous, your hands automatically come up. And while in my experience while on patrol, I have had cars when I go to initiate a traffic stop, they won't pull over to the left, either to the center divider or even stop in the center of the street. The law is they will pull to the right. On the back of the blue envelope, it gives a very basic, simple instruction. And this was formulated by working with community stakeholders and law enforcement to come up with something that everyone can understand. It's stop at a safe location. Now that stop at a safe location is not necessarily, it is not Monopoly, get out of jail free card if you try to make it home. It's stopping in a safe area so that the officer can make a safe approach. It's in a well-lit area, but as quickly as possible and feasible. Stay in your car. You don't want to leave the car unless you're told it's okay to leave. If you step out of the car, the officers do not know what they're encountering. And in their view, it's going to raise a red flag for officer safety. They don't know if the person's going to run, if they're going to try to come back and make an approach on the officer. So we are telling everyone, if you are stopped by an officer, please just stay in your car and wait for instructions from the officer. The other thing is keeping your hands on the steering wheel. Like the sergeant from Fontana Police Department said, in law enforcement, in our basic academies, we are taught if law enforcement cannot see the person's hands, if they're in somebody's pockets or behind their back, we do not know what's in that person's hands. So we're requesting and having your hands on the steering wheel, because if we can see your hands, we know that person is not a threat. And every person and any person can be a threat, regardless of age, gender, height. It does not matter. The other thing is tell the deputy or officer that you have a blue envelope. Initiate and gesture after the officer comes up and point, because we're suggesting keeping the envelope on above, or I'm sorry, in the visor itself, and motioning that you have a blue envelope, or on the center console. And the bottom, and the last one is just follow instructions. The officers are there to ask you what was the reason, or why do you think, or ask you basic questions. They're going to announce themselves. They're going to give you the reason for the stop. They're going to identify themselves, give you the reason for the stop, and then ask you, do you have a legal justification for making the action that you did? The goal of the blue envelope is to have a positive interaction with everyone.
And Greg, I wanted to mention that this was done after 18 months of stakeholder feedback. This was not a quick project. You sat through a lot of sometimes uncomfortable meetings.
Yes, I wanted to say this. Our department officially, the San Bernardino County Sheriff Department officially launched in January, just a couple months, officially launched. But now here's the caveat, but going back to, I believe it was February or March of 2023, the blue envelope was, June of 2023, we introduced the program internally to our department, also reaching out to all the stakeholders, the Inland Regional Center, the Autism Society Inland Empire, some other nonprofits, other stakeholders within all of the communities. We had a meeting here at our headquarters. I wanted to get their input on the program itself. We also wanted to know the pros and the cons. What did you think? Can you take this information back to their stakeholders, to their groups? Then we had a follow-up meetings. And so this went on for a little over a year of just meeting back and forth. Then I presented it to the sheriff himself and our executive committee. Once they approved it, then the sheriff said, well, we need to have internal training. And that took some more months. And so I say all that because I don't want anybody to think this was not a knee-jerk reaction. Our department has been working very diligently, not just with our department, but presenting it to all the chiefs, all our counterparts within the county of San Bernardino. This is vitally important, and the sheriff himself takes this extremely serious.
And I also want to mention that the language on this envelope was done very intentionally, because we know, like in our autism community, that people tend to be very concrete. And one of our concerns was where we have keep your hands on the steering wheel. That was really, really important to us because, as Greg was saying, we all get nervous if we get pulled over. And what's the first thing you would start doing is rummaging around, right? Looking through your glove compartment. And we didn't want to set up any of the adults on the spectrum to be anxious and unintentionally be looking for something and not being safe, or the officer second guessing what was happening. So the language on this was done very intentionally over a lot of months. So I'm just grateful to all of our stakeholders and for the Sheriff's Department to listen to what our community had to say.
And I just want to say real quickly, on the back of the envelope, which you may not see on this slide, but on the back is, it says things that you may want the officer to know. Those are things that the consumer, the person, they may want to fill in. If there's a medication, or if there's a disability, if there is a condition that it might enhance the stop, that the officers will know that this person actually is having a medical emergency, or a point of contact. If in case of emergency, please contact this person. Those things help initiate and help law enforcement as a whole of having better contact and reaching out to family members when in times of distress.
And the pictures were actually very intentional as well. We actually changed those. There's a program where you enter your photo in and it tells you if it's visually accessible to someone who might have a vision impairment. So Fania actually did that and worked with the language as well, to make sure that not only was it deaf, hard of hearing friendly, but also maybe vision friendly as well.
And if I can just say one thing real quick, Dr. Cook, the Sheriff Department is the largest agency within our county. We cover over 20,000 square miles within the county of San Bernardino. One of the major aspects is we are encouraging other agencies to join our initiative and to become a Blue Envelope department, but also we're encouraging for those agencies to keep the languages very similar, if not the same. And so it'll be consistent throughout the entire county. Now, is that always going to happen? No, but we were requesting other agencies for that to happen. One thing I would like to say also on the language is that on the back where it says anything you would like us to know, that is the consumer's opportunity to add any information that you would like law enforcement officer to know at that time. But it's not just being limited to law enforcement. Our first responders, our fire department, our EMS, they're also being incorporated into the training, and those are being brought on. So we're excited that this is expanding beyond just law enforcement.
And we're going to reiterate one more time. It's not a get out of jail free card.
No, it is not a get out of jail free card. And I'll just say, sometimes those speeding tickets are not they're not a negative thing. Sometimes they're just a reminder. I need to slow down. It may save my life. If somebody initiates an action and their actions dictate a violation, or if it's a violation of a law, the officers only have only certain leeway for certain violations of the law. If it's a felony, the person has to be taken into custody. Misdemeanors are a little bit different. And traffic citations, those are at the discretion, either spirit of the law or letter of the law, with the officer at that time.
So we did have a large community partnership in this process that Beth and Deputy Jones are talking about. That 18-month period, we engaged numerous individuals. Probably the most critical group that we spoke with was the Client Advisory Committee. And that was augmented by individuals who may not have been served by the Regional Center from the Autism Society. We work very closely with San Bernardino Department of Behavioral Health. And then at Inland Regional Center, we have what's called a Language Access and Cultural Competency Team who looked at language, not only with our partners, but internally as well, to make sure we're all speaking the same language and we're being respectful. And then our deaf and hard of hearing cultural specialist, which is actually you saw in the video, who was Estefania Pena. We call her Fania. And then Inland Regional Center's cultural specialist worked along with Fania to make sure that when when we talked about culture, not only was it disability culture, but it was also our monolingual Spanish-speaking families and their culture and their concerns of interactions with law enforcement as well. And then all of our interpretation was done by an agency out of Los Angeles called Bridging Voices, which was our interpretation agency on this project up until we finished all of our translation. Now, Deputy Jones is able to share a pretty large library with agencies that come on board to work, start a Blue Envelope program, which was a huge part of being with us, is the language accessibility part, so it's accessible to everyone. And then this is our current community partnership like Deputy Jones was talking about. All these agencies have worked with us in some capacity and allowed us to come into their space. Inroads let us go to their facilities and talk to parents and have meetings. Chasing Seven Dreams has let us go into their camp while kids are at the camp portion. We've been able to talk to parents. So everyone on this slide has engaged with us and support this program in some way, whether just being a supportive agency or letting us go into their space and have conversations with those that they serve. And then Beth will talk about our partnership, which has grown. Today, Hemet PD has reached out and asked to join us as well. So we'll be meeting with them and having some conversations. So that's the newest agency that came on board. Beth?
Yes, so you can see that this continues to grow. Thanks to Greg, and Greg truly was the champion in this this arena. This was something that he brought to us. We weren't jumping on board excitingly at the beginning. We were very cautious. And he worked hard, and you can see all the different departments: Chino Police, Ontario Police Department, the Chino Hills City Manager Office, Fontana Police Department, of course, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and that's 17 different, I don't know if you call them departments or stations that are part of that. What do you call them?
They're actually, because the sheriff department is contracted by the different cities, municipalities, for those like Rancho Cucamonga, it's considered a police department, but it's actually the sheriff department is a contract. And I would just like to add also, which you may not see, is San Manuel, their public safety is coming on board. County Fire is coming on board. And I'm missing one, and I apologize. PD. There's one more, it'll come to me, but more and more agencies are reaching out, and we're starting to ramp up a lot of visibility with these agencies, and not just within our county, in other counties, because it is growing, and that's the important thing.
Let's go. I know we've got a lot of questions, but so much gratitude to the stations that have signed on to this particular program, because we know it's being done with fidelity.
Exactly. So we only have a few more slides to go. We did do a parent training, and the best way for us to describe the parent training, honestly, is just to show you a short video.
On January 11th, 2025, the Inland Regional Center hosted a Blue Envelope Program event aimed at fostering stronger connections between the community and local law enforcement, fire departments, and other first responders. The event featured real-life demonstrations, allowing parents to learn about the program's impact and effectiveness while engaging directly with first responders. The San Bernardino County Fire Protection District is proud to support the Blue Envelope Program, alongside the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, which is leading this initiative in our county. A heartfelt thank you to all the first responder agencies who attended and collaborated with community members to enhance communication and create a brighter future for individuals with autism and special needs.
I just want to say really quickly, this is a quick snapshot of what Inland Regional Center does for training. I don't want to give a lot of time for questions, so it's pretty self-explanatory. We teach at the Sheriff's Academy. We teach with probation. We go to the court. We teach 911 dispatchers along with the Autism Society. They do a separate one. We work with our emergency operations centers and our shelter staff. And we're currently in collaboration with Sheriff's Department, Autism Society, and IRC creating a Deaf Plus awareness class for law enforcement officers, which will have a conference component in it as well. I probably just killed Miss Liliana on the other side, so I'll let her catch up. So
Our
let's bring it to
interpreter.
our questions, yeah.
All right. Yes, we do have a lot of questions. So, one of the questions, in which counties is the blue envelope recognized? And is it recognized in the airport? And I think we need to talk about the difference between the counties. And I don't know, Greg or CJ, if you want to take that first.
Our program is parallel to San Diego County Sheriff Department and San Diego County. I give all kudos to San Diego County Sheriff Department. There is a crime prevention specialist. She has a autistic daughter, and she saw the need. She saw this program happening in another state. She brought the program here within their agency in their county. She reached out to me. She told me about the program, and then I initiated it within our agency. Riverside County Sheriff Department also has a version of the blue envelope. To my knowledge, the three counties, San Diego County, Riverside County, and San Bernardino County, are the only blue envelope counties, along agencies, or a county wide that this is initiated. If this is happening in another county within the state, I don't know about it, but please, somebody let me know, and I definitely want to reach out to them.
And I will say that not all the programs right now are the same. Even though they may have the same name, they may not have the same qualifications. And I won't speak for CJ, but that was one of our, I don't want to say our issues, but one of our advocacy points is that we had some non-negotiables. CJ talked a little bit about the language component, that material was accessible to other people. The training component, that law enforcement officers be trained, and not just law enforcement officers to be trained, our families being trained, because it's a two-way conversation. CJ, do you have anything you want to add?
No, that was definitely our line in the sand. Language accessibility, cultural sensitivity, and training were the three things that we look at when we partner with an agency.
There's a question about, will the presentation be sent out? And I will say yes. We will, probably by Monday, we'll send a copy of the recording of this presentation and the actual presentation. And CJ, I think you said the videos are up on your website, so we can send the links.
We have not posted the videos to our website yet, but by Monday next week, George should have them embedded on the emergency services page underneath the blue envelope section that links you to San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department.
Okay. Here's another question. Where can I get the blue envelope swag and information?
You can, we have it in our lobby now. So our front lobby staff has a supply. The actual envelope will have to go to the sheriff's department, but when you come in our lobby, we do have an example and the address to go to. But if you want the lanyard, the wristband, those things, you can get them in our lobby. You can get them at the Autism Walk if you're going to go there. Our Marcus Quinton, emergency service coordinator, and Greg will be there. Greg Jones will be there, but also Gregory Harrison will be there. We have too many Gregs. We're trying to limit the number of Gregs we work with right now. But you can get it there or any event. And if that doesn't work for you, you can just email us at community@inlandrc.org and we'll work out a time for you to come by and pick it up.
And all of our sheriff stations have it, including all the participating stations. They will have it, but the sheriff department stations, they absolutely do have them at the front counters.
Another question is, if we pick up the items at the local police stations, will they ask for any additional information from our kids?
The only thing they're going to ask, they should be asking is, how are you doing? How's your day? But they do not ask for any additional information. They don't ask for a disability. They don't ask for anything. Now, if you say, can I have 100 envelopes? They're going to tell you no. Nobody has 100 cars. They will ask, is there anything else they can do for you? But they're not going to ask for any additional information regarding a special need, a disability, or anything like that.
And I will say that CJ and I both were secret shoppers.
Yeah.
And it was true. You just walked up and just said, "Can I have a blue envelope?" And they just handed it to us, and have a nice day.
Yep. No questions asked.
I have some other questions in here, but CJ, do you want to announce the next training that we're going to be having with families?
So we are going to have another training on August the 23rd at Inland Regional Center, and you will see us, the marketing start to come out after we have our next meeting with the police departments. We are we are creating a curriculum, which is the best practice, which is what we're going to use. So we have to have a few more meetings before we make the official announcement, but it will be on August 23rd. Check-in will be at 8:30. There will be a registration process. We have plenty of seating, so I'm not too worried about filling up. But we'll probably go from about 9 a.m. to roughly around noon, and it will be similar to the video that you saw. But we are working on some changes to where there's a lot more conversation during the traffic stop. So you'll start to see what the officer is thinking, what the driver is thinking, and the communication back and forth and how it should look as we create that script and those best practices.
Yes, because I see some of the questions in the chat, and these would be perfect to be asking at like this event. One of the questions is, can you ask the police to turn off sirens or lower the noise for an anxious autistic adult?
And I'll try to take I'll try to answer that one. During the initial traffic stop, the siren, the officer usually will cut off the siren because the siren is loud. We do not control the volume of the siren. Those are set at a certain pitch, and it's done intentionally. The other thing is when the officer's making an approach on the vehicle, the officer will cut off the siren because he or she needs to be able to communicate with the driver.
Another one, should we have the envelope for a minor child with a mental disability who may act in an erratic manner in the car?
Right now, this program is not designed for individuals with mental health. Now, if there's a cross diagnosis, that's something different, but strictly a behavioral issue, the program is not designed for that.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the blue envelope and kind of what we call the swag, the lanyards and that sort of thing?
Yeah, the lanyards, the sticker, the keychain, the bracelet, we're encouraging people voluntarily to wear those. So it lets not just law enforcement, but first responders and hopefully getting into the transit authority and also into the schools to let them know this person has a communication. But also the envelopes are designed to go into the vehicles. Now we are discussing amongst our groups, maybe this is something to keep in also the home, because when the fire responds to somebody's home, it was suggested maybe this could be beneficial. That's not officially, that decision has not officially been made, but the envelopes are for vehicles. And that we're encouraging them to keep their license or a copy of the license, vehicle registration and insurance, copies of those items inside of it, as well as any other documents that that person thinks it would be beneficial for law enforcement to see.
I'm going to take this next one, and then just because it's a hot topic, is there a plan to make this statewide? So the answer is yes. There is a current bill right now, but I will tell you that Autism Society Inland Empire is opposing this bill. It's Senate Bill 664, and basically it will provide just the blue envelope in DMV offices. You can see after coming across this very robust program that we've worked so hard to make sure individuals out in the community stay safe, law enforcement's trained, families are trained, that there's a language access issue, that just providing, 2 million envelopes at the DMV would really water this program down. So if you get our newsletter, you will start seeing some information on that and the ways that we're advocating against it, because we want a quality community safety program. not just a program for drivers without any training. And then, Greg, we had quite a few people saying, what about my local police agency? If they're not involved, how can they get involved? What would you tell them?
Ooh,
That is a great question. What I would say is have them reach out to the local law enforcement agency and inquire what programs that they do have for the special needs community. Number one. Number two is if they do not offer a blue envelope program, then have them reach out to me at the sheriff department. I work in our public affairs division, and I will gladly reach out to them. And we want to be able to have a positive contact with them. When the program was first launched, the sheriff and all the police chiefs and the district attorney, Jason Anderson, they meet once a month. They've always done this, and they do this consistently to talk about the latest trends and what's going on. But also, I was able to get in front of these gentlemen and ladies and really present this to all of them. Now, just because a certain agency or a few agencies are not having a program yet does not mean that they have ill intent. It just means that right now their department is either not equipped or they're not ready to proceed forward. Every chief is desperately looking for new programs, and they have each of your hearts in mind. And so what we want to do is we want to make this available to everyone. So yes, definitely reach out to all of your local law enforcement agencies and ask them, hey, have you ever heard of the program? This is the contact for the sheriff department, and I will reach out to them, and we can sit down and talk.
if I could just add to that, Greg, if you go to your police department and they don't have it, first of all, we have to find the champion for change within the department. So a lot of the officers that we work with, from Ontario, Upland, those officers are volunteering their time outside of their normal duties. And I think Greg has actually volunteered a lot of time on weekends as well and after hours. But you have to have that person that's willing to do that and have the buy-in. Typically, the officers that we work with are directly impacted by someone in their family with a developmental disability. So they have the buy-in. The other piece of that puzzle is it's not a it's a free program for the client. It is not a free program for the police department, which is when we can come into play to partner because we can write grants and work with other outside agencies to help them offset the cost associated. So if you do come across a department that may have someone that you would think would want to be connected, please have them email or call Deputy Jones, and then we can come together as a group and work with them to help them get what they need to be successful.
Yeah.
And I just want to add real quick, if I can, when I initially reached out to some of the police chiefs, I talked to the chiefs directly. I'm not going to say any cities or chiefs, but I'm going to tell you right now, a chief told me, he said, Jones, my concern right now in our city is our violent crimes are up. I have to get a hold of that first. That is number one, because my job is to make public safety, and I got to bring down some of the violence in our city. A year later, now they're coming on board. So I want everyone to know that your police chiefs in your municipalities, that your number one safety is their first priority, first and foremost.
I think that's who we forgot, Greg, San Bernardino City Police Department.
Nope, they were on there. I saw them. You
Yeah.
did not forget. And I also want to, just give a big shout out to Regional Center too, because CJ was being very humble, but they've donated, I think, over $50,000 of the blue envelopes, the blue stickers, all of that information. And so this really is a community collaboration. It's not one agency doing it all. It's your community working together so that all of our loved ones have a better life. So I know we're over time. I appreciate Greg and CJ. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate everybody who stayed on. We will be sending out the presentation and the video with the links, so you'll have the contact information. And if you have any questions, reach out. We are here to make a better life for everybody. So thank you all. Have a great evening. And thank you again to CJ and Greg and our wonderful Miss Liliana who interpreted for us.
Come to the safety fairs. Come to the safety fairs.
All right. Have a great evening. Thank you.